We call this hierarchy of inheritance a parent-child relationship. So the square is a child of the rectangle. But as with any parent and child, the child might want to do things slightly different from the parent. So let's talk about this calculate area function. With a rectangle, it makes sense to say length times width. And a square, also it makes sense for, but it makes even more sense to say that the area of a square is its length squared. So let's instead change that calculate area function. So I can say def calculate area, pass itself, and I'm going to say self.area equals self.length squared. This is called overriding a function. So since both of these versions contain the calculate area function, if I say s.calculate area, then it's going to run this version of it. Versus if I say r.calculate area, it will run this version of it. So looking at our init function of the square, what you'll notice is that the init for rectangle is called. And in the init of rectangle, we're calling this calculate area function. And since that is within the rectangle class, this is the version that we're going to run. So what I want to do is here, come down and say self.area equals, oh, I don't need that part. I just need to say self.calculate area. And now the square, when it initializes, will run its own calculate area function. Now, this is a superfluous thing to do because the calculate area is going to run regardless of whether I write this down here. So we are initializing the rectangle, which runs this, which runs this. So then when we come down here, we're just running the same thing again. But let's say I didn't tell the init function to run calculate area, and I did it outside. So let's do this, r.calculate area and s.area. And let's add a print statement in here. So I can say rectangle and let's run that. And what you can see is that when I calculate the area for a rectangle object, this version of the function runs. But when I calculate the area of a square object, this version of the function runs. So although I am inheriting the properties and functions of the rectangle, I can say that for this child, we're actually going to do it slightly differently. So through inheritance, we can relate objects to one another. The description that I like for thinking about inheritance is has a versus is a relationships. So we can say that a rectangle has a length, or it has a width. And we can say the same about a square. It has a length and it has a width. But to describe either of these as being a length or a width, a square is a length, doesn't make a lot of sense. But we can say that a square is a rectangle, and that's where our inheritance comes in. When one object is an instance of another object in the abstract, then we will use inheritance. So if this video was useful for you, please leave a like. It helps me grow the channel and it will help other people find the video. And again, if you would like to see these tools used in a broader context, I recommend checking out my Developer Diary series, where I am working long-term on big projects and actually putting these tools to use. So thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next one.